There's a long-standing tradition in France of well, the satire that we've seen, the arguments that we've seen around Charlie Hebdo, for example, that it's legitimate to satirise religion. And this has come from a revolutionary Republican tradition that stood against the wealth and privilege of the Catholic Church and its role in defending the monarchy and the elitism and privilege that that regime represented. Those attitudes underpinning defiance of religion or authoritarianism have been translated into a modern day context where Muslims in France represent some of the poorest people in the French population. So it's a different target to the Catholic Church of absolute monarchy. And I think that has confused and disoriented some of the opponents of the Front National, who find the Front National today posing as a defender of Republican values and emphasising the need to ensure secularism in schools and therefore to scrutinise what Muslim school students wear, what Muslims eat. There've been kind of almost moral panics about things like halal meat. The last European elections saw the Front National win the highest share of the vote. They've gained control of a number of towns following local government elections, and what they've done in those towns is implemented policies characterised by, I suppose, what we could call petty bigotry, targeting or attempting to humiliate, in some cases, Muslims. One Front National mayor introduced a pig festival in his town. Another has stipulated that quiche should be served with bacon at public functions. You know, those kind of provocations that will contribute to a continued polarisation. In terms of the consequences, we've seen one of the biggest marches in French history, calls for national unity, 40 world leaders attending, and a big outpouring of emotion as a result of the attacks and the desire to show solidarity with the people who were killed. I think that unity, if past experience is anything to go by, is riven with contradictions. There are tensions and polarisations within that unity that will probably express themselves over the coming months and years. That kind of radical, violent response that we saw in the offices of Charlie Hebdo is not a phenomenon that can be held to characterise France's Muslim population as a whole. So when it comes to the question of integration, that's a more complex debate that also involves responsibility on the part of government actors as well. And over the past 5 to 10 years, there's been an exacerbation of tensions, partly as a result of extreme defensiveness on the part of the Republic in relation to the Muslim population of France. So we've seen bans on the headscarf, on the full face veil, the full body veil. We've seen attempts to stigmatise the Muslim population and to present it as some kind of enemy within. And that's the danger, I think, in the coming period, is that the consequence of the attacks will be to increase that stigmatisation and to further isolate France's Muslim population.